How are you, everyone? It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It's great to be with you. We were supposed to have a guest this morning coming to us from another side of the country. So I'm not sure if he's still going to come. I don't think he's going to come anymore. I know we had confirmed it with him and a couple times, but I guess sometimes when there's time zones and things like that involved, it can happen. It was going to be a great show, but it's still going to be a great show. So we'll have to get Daniel back on another time. Daniel Packard was supposed to be on today's show. So again, we are fluid. We make changes. If you're new here, grab your smartphone, scan that QR code. Definitely check that all out. I know you guys are definitely going to be very happy that you did do that because, ladies and gentlemen, we're making so much great content. And I think the most important thing when we talk about content is that it's about how it can affect people's lives, right? And I think that is probably the biggest thing that I want to say to you guys tonight is that, I say today, this morning, is that content is about, making a change in people's lives. And so when we make a change in people's lives, we're able to do so many great things. But sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, anxiety does get in the way. It does. I mean, there's not much we can do about that, but it does get in the way sometimes. And so again, I don't know if our guest is still going to be coming. It looks like he's probably not coming today. So we'll have to, like I said, we'll have to reschedule him. But I want to thank you, whatever time you're here, whether you're here at 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock at night, or 3 a.m., 3 p.m., 12 noon, 12 midnight. I'm very grateful for you guys being here with me because, I think when we understand that content is key to improving our lives, then we'll really appreciate things. And, we're going to have another show about escaping the box, but we're going to talk a little bit about, wrapping up the whole career cycle, because I think a lot of people have gotten challenged with, what is the career cycle and how does it work and how do we actually do what we're going to do. And I think the biggest thing about it is that people have to understand that it's an amazing thing. So I think that is probably really, really cool. But again, ladies and gentlemen, just to tell you who I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. And of course, you guys know me. I am a podcast host and a podcast coach and a specialist in helping businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and being more scalable and, of course, more profitable. And I typically work with companies that bring in 10 million or more. I'm very good at sharing what a story is and creating a story, but doing that all from truth, which I think is a very unique thing. I'm a member of the International Press Association, now celebrating 7 years, so very grateful for that. Ladies and gentlemen, please, when you click on that QR code or go to believemeachieve.com, you're going to see that there is some amazing stuff there. There's actually all my great content. So definitely, and so pretty cool. Yeah. So. I will tell you that it's cool because, when we think about what's happening, it's about our lives, right? And so when we think about our lives, it's important because we get stuck in this box, right? It's an anxiety box. But our master topic, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, it is a career alchemy, transforming dreams into reality. We're on show 2, show 48, series 2, show 48, episode number 7. And, we're talking all about, this whole thing. And so the first thing I want to talk about is, we can all have anxiety when we attend interviews. I get it. So you might be asking me, so how do we overcome anxiety on an interview? Well, I think the biggest challenge with that is to use some techniques. Okay. One technique you can use is to prepare for your interview thoroughly. Make sure you've done a dry run of where the office address and location is. You have the directions. You have at least 3 or 4 copies of your cover letter, resume, and a list of references in either a folder or suitcase, or whatever you have, you like a little binder. A list of questions to ask your interviewer, notepad and pen, business cards, water. Practice your answers, etc. That is very very key. Um, so I know it's probably a cool thing you're wondering, but it looks like I just got word that our guests might actually be joining us. So I don't know, but I heard he might be joining us. I'll tell you that anxiety can be a big challenge for us. It can be a very very big challenge. And you might be wondering how or why or when, what does all that mean? And I think it just means that people are, they get frustrated. I know that can frustrate you. I know you're probably wondering, why people get frustrated. And I think people get frustrated because they get nervous. Picture yourself in success. Eat well, exercise, have a good breakfast. Don't have a huge breakfast, have a small breakfast. Lower your stress level. Talk to a friend, write down some thoughts, listen to some music on the way of the interview, laugh a little, relax your body. Make plans to celebrate that, you're going to get that job. Increase your confidence. Take some deep breaths. Remember, they're human. Okay. Be genuinely interested in the other person and in the company. Listen and speak when asked. Don't give a dissertation. Just answer questions very shortly, minute or two. Okay. Pay attention when they ask you something. Don't go off on a side tantrum. Um, think before you respond. Accept the outcome. That is really, really key. I know. Looks like we got word that he'll be joining us, but I'll tell you that sometimes people get a little bit, how can I say, confused. They get a little bit confused, and so I will tell you that it's um, it's all about what people are doing and why people are doing something. And I think frustration is something that is natural. People just accept that that's the way it's going to be, but it's not. Um, it's not. Okay. And I know you're probably getting confused now. I know that you're probably wondering, like, what does stress mean for you? And I think it means that, you get stuck. And so by getting stuck, it's a challenge. So ask questions, think before you respond, accept the outcome. Okay. Um, if there's something in the interview that you don't like, um, you know, you can just glance past it And you can make the decision later on if they decide to hire you that you're not interested. But at least be as professional as possible as you can on the interview. That is very, very key. And so I want to tell you that it's important. Now, after you attend the interview, before you, after, so you attend your interview, that's important, but you've got to prepare for the interview. We said that. You've got to attend your interview. And then after you attend your interviews, you need to follow up. Say thank you. Okay. Say thank you. This is very, very important. And so I know that you're probably wondering, why do people get stressed? I think people get stressed because they don't necessarily know how or why. And they feel that, it's their fight or flight mechanism. And I know you're probably asking, hey, John, why do people get anxiety? Well, so people get anxiety in response to uncertainty and danger. Could be a trigger from an event. Maybe something happened. Maybe you guys have all remembered possibly being pulled over by a cop car at one point in your life. And now every time you hear the siren of the cop, you get nervous. Now I know when I hear the cop siren, I'm not so nervous of the lights because it's very rare that I think it's happened once or twice, and usually it's for a check or something, or I think they pulled me over because my license plate had just expired and I didn't get the notice in the mail. So, things like that I think are really cool. I'll tell you that it's important for you to understand something. And that something is the fact that, having a job interview or any kind of interview might seem like a very daunting task. I get it. And, you know, our mind can race millions of miles a second. It can be influenced by stress, genes, personality, and other factors. But anxiety can really cripple us. Okay. It could put us in a state of depression. And so when this happens, it's like our body completely shuts down. All right. And it looks like our guest just arrived. So we'll bring him on in a second. But, I want to talk to you about the fact that anxiety is not something that you just, I'm going to say, fall into. Anxiety happens because of a condition. And our guest is going to talk more about this in a little bit. But I think the most important thing I want to share with you is that it happens and people accept it as being a major part of their life. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I have news for you. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. So if you're going on a job and maybe you're worried because, you don't know if they're going to like you, just remember something. They're trying to find the best possible candidate. Okay. They're trying to find the best possible candidate. And so I think that's a very, very, important thing that I want to share with you. So our guest today, who's be coming on shortly, is Daniel Packard. He is a UC Berkeley mechanical engineer and a CEO of Permanent Anxiety Solutions, who turned his painful 10-year battle with severe anxiety into a mission to reverse engineer a permanent solution for anxiety. After 8 years and over $1 million of research and testing and working with about 3,000 people from all over the world, Daniel and his team have succeeded in developing world's only permanent anxiety solutions with a 90% success rate. So where clients, he says, don't pay at the beginning of the online program, but at the end, once they're satisfied. So I think a lot of us get anxiety, especially with the holidays. So we're going to bring Daniel on here in just a second, but I want to let you know that it's not about what you're doing today that matters. It's what you did in the past. And that pattern can actually help repeat. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the Inspirations for Your Life show, Mr. Daniel Packard. Hello there, Daniel. How are you?
Hello, John C. Morley. Thank you for having me. I was on time. There was just some technical linky issues. I would never disrespect you and be late, my friend, but I'm glad I'm here
No,
now to
no,
share
no,
the
no
wisdom with your
problem.
audience.
So we started, but we didn't know if you were coming, so we didn't put the trailer in with your name because like we're not sure if he's coming. So we're gonna have to think on our feet and then come back. But I'm glad you made it here. So we're talking about breaking free. I'm sure we all can relate to that, escaping the box of anxiety. And this whole week, we've been talking about our career, the alchemy, transforming those dreams into reality, how, why, and when to basically decide to leave that career. And part of that we're talking today is about, alchemy and also the anxiety of basically trying to get another job and the anxiety of life. So I guess I want to ask you a question, and that is pretty important. Is what is it that actually gets people so uptight that makes them anxious? I mean, it's like a knee jerk reaction. So, what causes that in people? Because it's something obviously we can control, right?
Well, it's an excellent question. It's what everybody wants to know. And as smart as you are, and as smart as your audience is, even just baked into your question is the fundamental confusion that everybody has that's keeping everybody from a solution. So, one, I'm just going to clear it up just so you know, because
Okay.
like you said, we solved it. When people hear that we've solved it, they think, "How? How did you do it? What was it?
Right.
Unicorn dust? What did you make a deal with the devil?" It's like, no. I'm an engineer, and we approach this from an engineering perspective. And what we saw is that what everybody's been learning from the mental health experts, the psychologists, the gurus, the teachers, they're just they're experts, but sometimes experts missed it and they're not getting great results. And it's because it's a fundamental misunderstanding. So just we'll get into it more. But you said why do we have it, or why does these things make us anxious? So they don't, to put it mildly. What do I mean by that? So people will say to me, "Well, Daniel, life is hard. Isn't a little bit of anxiety, doesn't that make sense? Isn't that an old thing that helps us? Those alarms?" And no. Here's the difference. What I'm going to share with your audience is there's a reason that your system is very fragile. And when you have a fragile system, when you push on the system, instead of just feeling pressure, you feel more, you feel pain. When your teeth are fragile, you bite into a carrot, you feel pressure, but you don't just feel pressure, you feel pain. Now, if you don't understand that, you'll think, "Oh, it's the carrot. I've got carrot pain disorder." No, 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 no. You understand it's not the carrot. Your teeth are fragile, and when you push on it with the carrot, then you feel pain. It's not the carrot, it's the teeth. So, how does that relate to us? Yes, your listeners will have life challenges. Those challenges will create not anxiety, but stress. Stress is normal. A stress response is normal. If you have a deadline, if you're worried about something, the unknown, your body will register that and create stress. It's usually about 3 out of 10, and it usually responds to the moment because the moment is pushing on you pressure, stress. But because people have a fragile system, it's not just stress, is it? It's not just 3 out of 10. No, it's 7, 8, 9 out of 10. And it's not just for 5 minutes, it can be 5 hours or 5 days. That's the anxiety. That's the part that we solved. So that now, for myself and all our clients, they're strong. Now, I occasionally feel stress, 3 out of 10, for about a minute or two. But that's it. So, what's making you anxious is not the outside world. That's the pressure that gets put on you, but that's just pressure. But if you're feeling more than pressure, if you're feeling pain, that's the anxiety. That's the part that we solve. So it's not the outside world that makes you anxious. It looks that way, but it's not. It's your system is fragile, and I'm going to share with you why and how to make it stronger.
Very interesting. I mean, I think when we talk about being strong, I think the biggest issue that a lot of people probably have is think of it like, conditioning our bones. Whether you want to, like, I'm training right now to become a runner for a marathon next year. And, people saying to do that, you have to be out of your mind. But, there's a resilience factor and there's also a conditioning factor. I don't care whether you're running, whether you're trying to get healthy, lose weight, whether you're trying to be an expert in baking, get an expert in a business degree, or whatever you're trying to do, there's always a part that starts with a foundation. I think yours is no different than that, right? You have to have a very good foundation. But I think a lot of people's foundations is weak. Am I correct on that?
You're correct in that. And it's why everybody is trapped with anxiety, is because primarily, when my brief story, and I'm just going to tell you kind of my brief story and where my company comes from so that you understand and can trust this information a bit more. You have a tech savvy systems type audience, and they've tried a lot of things for their anxiety. It all sounded good, but it didn't work that well, didn't get results. And so before I share all this information, if your audience doesn't know where it comes from and that it's been tested, they're not going to understand how valuable it is. So can I just explain who I am and where this information comes from so they know to value it?
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. So, our program was engineered and tested to get permanent results, meaning your anxiety is gone and it doesn't come back. And that didn't just happen. It's because, growing up, I had a dad who was a physicist and an inventor. And he told me, if something in this world isn't working, you can invent something better. And he also said something that your audience will appreciate. He said, look, a lot of people claim to know what they're talking about, but trust the person who gets the results. The person with the results and the data, that's the person who knows what they're talking about. And that stuck with me because then I went to UC Berkeley for an engineering school, and I loved inventing and understanding things. And I was properly trained how to look at a complex problem, break it down into its individual pieces, understand it systematically, create prototypes, test it until something works that gets results consistently. The problem was they didn't tell me how to make relationships work. And so I stayed in a relationship way too long. And when I came out of it, I had crippling anxiety and complex PTSD. And I, like your audience, went looking for help. And I went to the gurus and the teachers and the therapists and the books and the videos and all the acronyms, the EFT, the CPTSD, the CGT, the MOUSC. I tried all of it, 100 grand and 10 years. And it didn't solve it. It just managed it. But I felt trapped. I felt hopeless. And the engineer in me just said, wait a minute. All this stuff, it's just Band-Aids. It doesn't get permanent results. And I'm in a lot of pain. There's a lot of people in pain. And so I started my own research company to say, could we reverse engineer a process to see if we could just solve this once and for all? And it took 8 years. It was not easy, but we cracked the code. My anxiety and PTSD went away and never came back, just gone. 10 years, I've been chill as a cucumber, happy as can be, permanent. And then we realized to help more people, we need to systematize it. So we built an online program, but we tested the crap out of it to make sure that it works. And so now it's a 90% success rate, and we back up our results. And I'm only telling you that so that you know results matter. And what I'm telling you is based on a system where we back up our results, which means we get them. So coming back to your main question, the big breakthrough we made is that we found the actual root cause of anxiety, which is not where they tell us. They tell us it's in the mind. They say, quiet your mind, don't believe your negative thinking. They give you pills to target the neurotransmitters in your brain. It's called mental health, John. It's got the word mental in there. It sounds like the mind. And we said, all right, we're engineers. We're outsiders. We're not just going to believe this. What's the results? And we realized anxiety's on the rise. Now I just found out that more people die from suicide than car crashes. In 100 years, infant mortality rate has collapsed. Diseases have been solved. We just put a helicopter on Mars. All these incredible improvements. Anxiety is getting worse. So we said, based on results, maybe these experts don't actually know what they're talking about. And the second we questioned it, we said, is it in the mind? And we realized it's not. And your audience already knows that. When you have anxiety, you feel anxious. You can feel your throat close up, your chest tightens, your heart rate can go up, your stomach gets that gross feeling. So they tell us, the experts say, hey, it's a problem of the mind. But listen to those words, John. Throat, chest, heart, stomach. Does that sound like the mind to you or more like the body?
More like the body, but it sounds to me like what you're doing is you're calling a disruption, basically. You're trying to do a pattern disruption. Is that correct? Where you're trying to disrupt the body so that it doesn't know that it's under anxiety? Is that kind of the process? We kind of cause a disruption so that it doesn't have a chance to think about being under that state.
Well, that's a good guess, but no. And I'm going to explain to you, because what you're saying, if you didn't know, it's so simple. And it's simple because we realize something profound, which is it's in the body. And this goes back to your question about resilience and strengthening. Everything we figured out about anxiety We learned because it's in the body. And once you're in the body has certain predictable behaviors. First of all, the beauty of the body is it's pretty mechanical in there. There's ligaments and there's arteries, and the heart is like pressure and valves. There's layers, there's white blood. There's a lot of mechanics, and more importantly, there are systems. There's the capillary system, the endocrine system, the cardiac system, it's all systems. And the engineers in us went, wait a minute. Systems have mechanics, and once you understand a system, you can understand why it malfunctions and fix it and bring it back to health. So I want to let your audience know there's a system in your body that's not running right. And you already know what it is. It's so obvious. We only saw it because we were engineers and we asked simple questions. So John and your audience, what system in the body do you think makes a person anxious? And remember, you could say the word anxious, instead of the word anxious, say extra nervous. Really, just say extra nervous. So what system in the body do you think is responsible for making a person extra nervous? The endocrine system? What?
Sorry. So we were talking about this before you came on the air. I was going to say fear, false evidence appearing real. So that's what happens a lot of times in the job, where people get fearful and then they go into that fight or flight mode.
You're describing the symptom and the behavior, but not the causality and the engineering of the cause. That's what I'm pointing to. Okay, so there's a system in the body that's making everybody extra nervous. You can call that fear, you can call it worry, you can call it overwhelm, you can call it panic. But for the sake of simplicity and having a simple architecture to simplify this, because we like simplification, you're an engineer, I like an engineer, things should be simple. So what system in the body do you think is most likely responsible for making everybody extra nervous? The endocrine system, the capillary system, or the nervous system?
If I had to guess, I'd probably say the nervous system.
Yeah, gold stars to you, John, and all your listeners. It's the nervous system. So now maybe you're thinking, Daniel, that makes a lot of sense. I'm feeling extra nervous. It's probably in the nervous system. Yes, it is obvious if you just ask the right questions. But they've been telling us this is a brain disorder, and that's why nobody solved it, because they sent you to the wrong location. And it's not even a disorder. You just have a system in your body, and systems have mechanics. And sometimes those systems can malfunction. And when systems in the body malfunction, they have a very similar profile, which is they become fragile. As I said, if you don't brush and floss, your teeth become fragile. And when you push on something fragile, you feel pain. So what if we simplify anxiety and say you have a system in your body called the nervous system, and for reasons I'll explain, it's basically malfunctioning. So when life pushes on your nervous system, instead of just feeling stress, pressure, you feel this spike. You can call it fear, you can call it worry, you can call it anxiety, but that is just a symptom of the root cause, which is the nervous system is malfunctioning. And once you know that, you can repair it. And this is not just theory. This is not just my cute little idea. This is the theory that we used, and we applied it, and we spent 5 years to develop a program that basically figured out what was off with the nervous system and bring it back to full health. Once your nervous system is healthy, the pain goes away. It's just gone. There's no management. There's no meditation. There's no nothing. There's no incense, no gemstones, no nothing. It's just gone because your system is healthy.
So it almost sounds like what we're doing is we're calibrating our system very similar to the way engineers would calibrate a microphone or a camera, like to white balance or to make sure there's no noise. Is it very similar to that? We're basically calibrating our body so that it's more efficient.
Again, that's an excellent guess, but think about it. And again, just look at teeth. Teeth are similar. Teeth need basic maintenance. And if you don't do basic maintenance on your teeth, they become fragile. Now, once they become fragile, you have an infected tooth, and it's basically in a state of failure. It's crashed. Once something crashes, whether you have an engine, you blow your engine, whether you're having heart attacks, whether you need a root canal, whether you blow out your knee, basically the system has failed. A failed system is different than a system out of balance. Once a system goes into a state of failure, you have to approach it very differently. So essentially, your nervous system was not taken care of for a very long time. Why? Because we were never taught how. We were taught to brush and floss. We were taught to get enough sleep. We were taught to drink enough water and eat a balanced diet. Those systems, we know the basic maintenance. But what we learned is nobody explains to us ever What do you do every day to take care of your nervous systems, your feelings and emotions? What's the brushing and flossing of your emotions? And if you don't do them, you're going to end up with a system failure. So that's why everybody's system has failed. Their nervous system is you were not taught the basics. You were taught bad emotional habits. Get over it. Don't take it personally. I'll give you something to cry about. Boys don't cry. Plus, we just live in a culture where everyone's stuffing their feelings down and we can't take care of it. So what you're dealing with is a system that is in a state of failure. So there's no rebalancing. There's no training it differently. We spent several years to figure out how do you repair a failed nervous system. That's what we do. We take it from a state of failure and we repair it. Once it's repaired, just like a knee or just like you go to the dentist, now it's strong and the symptoms, the painful symptoms go away.
So, Daniel, a question then. Obviously, people were not trained properly because we don't come with a book. The human body doesn't come with a manual yet. I think they're still working on what a version.
Yeah.
My question to this, because I think a lot of people, we talked about, we had a neurosurgeon on, national neurosurgeon on a few weeks ago talking about, how to basically avoid burnout, which is not related, but it has some connections. What tips can you give some people, some hard, concrete things they can do? Holidays are coming up, whether that be Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and so many other ones, New Year's. What can you give us? What can we unpack for my listeners and myself that we could adapt and put into practice in our life right now? Is there something you could give us that might put us on track?
I mean, I feel so conflicted, but because of course that's what you and your audience wants to know. What's the tip? What's the tool that I could use? And that is what's taught by the $1 trillion mental health, spiritual, personal development community is tips and tools, but that just manages it. And there's plenty of stuff out there if you want to manage it. And I am leading a revolution to say, no more Band-Aids, just upgrades. And so I don't want to give you tips. And first of all, if there was a tip and a tool I could give you that would completely get rid of your anxiety permanently, I would give it to you. But there isn't. You have a system failure, and we built a system with 3 phases. And so I want to stand up to the whole give me a tip or a technique, because that won't give your audience their lives back. And so
we have a question that just came in from Jay. Jay, thanks so much for the question. Have you tried microdosing? It involves taking natural substances like mushrooms, not to trip, but to help improve mental health, self-esteem, and also give relief from issues like BPD, panic attacks, chronic pains, bipolar, PTSD, depression, anxiety, and other mental disorders. Woolen spores. He said Instagram gives the best guidance and products, highly recommended. Let's see. How can we answer that for this gentleman? Thank you for the comment, Jay.
Well, I mean, it's a good question because that's one of the things that are out there. But again, go and look at the results. Find somebody. If you can find somebody out there who is doing that in a systematic way that's getting consistent, permanent results, not you did something and you had a boost or a temporary state. Permanent. It's gone. It doesn't come back. If you find somebody that's doing that with microdosing on a consistent basis, then go find them. You don't need me. I tried ayahuasca. I tried acid. I did ecstasy. I did it all. 100 grand and 10 years. It just gave me a little momentary thing. They do have some situations where people have incredible for lack of a better word, breakthroughs. They're pretty isolated, and usually it comes back. Why? Because their nervous system never got the care that it needs. So what I would say to that person is, if you think that'll work or that worked for you, great. But if it was that easy, anxiety would not be on the rise. Suicide would not be beating out car crashes.
All right, that makes sense. And again, thank you for the question. So, a common thing that comes up with a lot of people is they say, I think I might depress. I'm having trouble with anxiety. And they start to wonder, when is it that somebody should be addressing this? Obviously, we know if we have heart issues and your heart's doing, well, and you're probably eating bad, but that might be too late. But I always tell people, if you're getting a sign, those are little warnings, and you should adhere to these warnings you get so that you can curb your life. For example, when I was 250 pounds and I was walking, my knees, my legs, I felt it all the time. Now that I'm at 165, it's perfect. It's fine. It's like it's gone. So what can you say to that in that regard?
Well, I love these questions because you're approaching this sort of like the body. Like, it's not the reason we figure this out. This isn't psychological or spiritual, it's mechanical, and the body's very mechanical. And you just pointed out one of the beautiful bits of mechanics in the body, which is that when you don't take care of it properly, what shows up? Pain. It's built into the beautiful design of what we get. We get this incredible body and eyeballs and muscles and ligaments. We don't have to pay for it, but we do have to take care of it. And if we don't take care of it, the body will send you these signals. Now, when it comes to the body, once we start to feel some pain, we usually begin to pay attention because we know, oh, that's a problem. And what I would say to people is, your anxiety is the pain. It's talking to you. It's telling you that your nervous system is not being properly taken care of, and it's sending you alarms. It's the check engine light of your nervous system. The problem is that we approach anxiety differently. People try to push through it. Isn't some anxiety okay? Well, of course I have anxiety. There was the pandemic, and there's this stuff at work, and people almost think this is just part of being human. No, stress is part of being human. Anxiety means that your system is crashing, and you should listen sooner than later. Now, most people don't. Most people know it's building, and then eventually the anxiety, the pain gets so horrible that they have to address it. And most of the people we work with, they said, you know what, Daniel, you're right. I felt this building years ago, but I pushed through it. I thought it was normal. My parents had it, and then my system basically crashed. So most people, unfortunately, wait till it gets bad, because that's what pain is there to do. It gets your attention. But for our smart clients who are entrepreneurs, our business leaders, they understand, well, wait a minute. If I can have a strong nervous system, it's not even about lowering anxiety. I'd be more resilient. I could handle more. I could take on more without overwhelm. So some of our clients come to lower the pain. Some come to strengthen their system so they can be more consistently effective and show up for the people they care about, be better at business, and be able to take on more because they are strong. We know that we can make a strong physical body, but what about having a very simple model to create a strong nervous system so your emotions are strong?
Now, when we think about all this and building the resiliency and making us strong, and this is all great, a lot of people, unfortunately, will go to the doctors. Okay, nothing wrong with them, but I'm more of a homeopathic myself. But they'll go to a doctor, and there are two prongs to anxiety treatment. For those of you that are watching, you may or may not know this. They'll load you up with meds, which is not my way of going, or they'll prescribe this endless routine of therapy in the hopes that it'll eventually resolve itself for you. And they'll say you may need one or you might need both. An anxiety medication can be described by your PCP, your primary care provider, but may also refer you to a psychiatrist. Now, a thing that most people don't realize is a psychiatrist is a doctor that can prescribe basically meds for you. Where the other type of psychology, they can't. So psychiatrists can, psychologists is different. And so they'll want to do some more evaluations, etc. So what do you think when people are, I guess society is brainwashing people is what I want to say. And just for argument's sake, I always do this. I think this is a lot of fun. I will just go to our resource, which we go to a few times, and I like to get the answers they give us. I'm going to ask this question: what is the cure for anxiety? Now, I'm actually talking to our resident expert here, and I'm laughing, ChatGPT. Now, I'm doing this for a reason because, see, ChatGPT doesn't always give the right answers. In fact, it never gives the right answers. But this is what ChatGPT says, and I don't take any credit for it. So whether it's good or bad, it comes straight from ChatGPT's bowels. So here's what ChatGPT says, and I want to read this to you word for word. Okay, it's kind of like a CYA. I am not a doctor, John, but I can offer some general information. Anxiety is a very complex condition, and there isn't a one-size-fits-all cure, which you might have discovered. Treatment also involves a combination of approaches and is essential to consult with a healthcare professional for personalized advice. However, here are some common strategies I feel would be helpful to help you manage your anxiety condition. Number one, therapy. Cognitive behavior therapy, or what we call CBT, and other therapeutic approaches can help individuals identify and change negative thought patterns and behaviors. Medication, we talked about that. In some cases, medication may be prescribed to alleviate symptoms. This is typically done under the guidance of a healthcare professional. Lifestyle changes, that's a big one. Regular exercise, a healthy diet, sufficient sleep can possibly impact mental health. Avoid substances like caffeine and alcohol may also be beneficial. Mindfulness and relaxation techniques. Practice such as meditation, deep breathing, exercise, and yoga can help reduce stress and promote relaxation. Social support. Build a strong support system with friends, family, or support groups that can provide emotional assistance during challenging times. Identify triggers. Understanding specific triggers for anxiety can help individuals develop coping strategies and make lifestyle adjustments. Setting realistic goals. I like to call them promises because I don't set goals, because goals are things we just set and we never achieve. We just say, oh, I didn't make that one, so we'll set another one. So I gave up setting goals many years ago. I just make promises to myself and I get them to happen. Break down the task into smaller ones for more manageable steps, and this could reduce a feeling of being overwhelmed and contribute to a sense of accomplishment. It is crucial, however, to seek professional help if you or someone you know is struggling with anxiety. A mental health professional can assess the individual's unique situation and recommend an appropriate treatment plan. If you're experiencing severe anxiety or a crisis, please contact emergency services or call 911 in your area if it's available. Now, that was the answer from ChatGPT. Now, again, a lot of it was just some very high-level fluff. And there were some good points in there, but I think it was a very big general statement.
Well, first of all, that was the best tee-up an interview has ever given me. It is so good because what it's giving back to you is an amalgamation of what's out there. And it was perfect. And here, oh my God, my head's exploding with so many responses. Okay, first of all, I'm trying to change people's paradigm so that when they hear things about anxiety, they now know to look for the red flags. First of all, ChatGPT went off on a whole bunch of stuff, but halfway through, there was a clue that means ChatGPT and the experts that they are mimicking shouldn't be talking, and that is to help you manage it. It was right in there, to manage it. If all you can do is manage something, you don't understand it as well as you think. If you have a boat and it keeps taking on water and someone stands up and says, I have a bucket, and if you bail the water out, we don't sink as fast. I'm managing the sinking. I'm an expert in boats. No. If you really understood the problem, you'd understand there was a hole in the boat and how to plug the hole in the boat so the boat didn't sink and you could stop bailing. Anybody that's managing it doesn't know what they're talking about.
Remember, they take their finger, right, and they just stick it into the one hole. Oh, I need a second finger, third finger. Well, I have to use my other hand. I have to use my toe. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I'm all out of toes and fingers, and like you have a Band-Aid is what you have.
You have a Band-Aid. Now, if all these mental health experts are handing out Band-Aids, fine. They're doing the best they can. They went to school, they learned some stuff, and they passed the Band-Aids on to you. Fine. They're doing the best they can. But if all you've got is a Band-Aid, don't tell people you're an expert in what this is. It's called mental health. But it's not mental health. You have poor health, and they're showing you how to manage poor health and calling that mental health. First of all, it's not even in the mind, it's in the body. There's a website called betterhelp.com. Now, it's a form of help, but I've spoken to people that were on BetterHelp for 3.5 years. To me, that's not help. But we're conditioned, like you said, brainwashed to keep buying Band-Aids and trusting these people. And I stood up to the $1 trillion, what I call it the improvement industrial complex. They take $1 trillion a year and they don't deliver permanent results. We're about results. Now, we measure you when you come into our program. We measure you scientifically and anxiety levels at the beginning. Then we measure your anxiety levels every day as you go through the program. By the end, we have hard data that shows that this program worked for you. We don't just say, oh, do you fit? It's science. And we're not applying that to mental health. That's why people are in so much pain. And the other thing that was in what you said that was a big part of the problem is it's complex. ChatGPT, I don't know why I'm talking to them like they're my friend. Hey, ChatGPT, what's up? The word complex, it is not complex. It feels complex because everyone's been running around and what they're doing is chasing symptoms. If you chase the symptoms, yes, it feels super complicated. If you never learned to brush and floss and your teeth hurt, but you didn't know that it was just you need to go to the dentist, you'd be like, it's so weird. When I bite into carrots, I feel pain. Is it the orange? Is it the carrot? Is it my mom made me eat vegetables? Also, ice cream. Is it the ice cream? Maybe when I eat a protein diet, you would spin out for a lifetime trying to figure out why your teeth hurt. But all along, you just had teeth that just needed to be repaired. So enter this into ChatGPT.
Okay.
Enter, how do I get rid of tooth pain? Because tooth pain is mechanically the same as emotional pain. And see if it says it's complex. How do I get rid of tooth pain permanently?
I was going to say one thing before I do that. I was just going to tell you, and we have to wrap up in another minute or so just to let you know. But what I want to tell you was that, bad engineers say things are complex. Good engineers say it can be solved. Excellent engineers don't say it, they do it.
I would say we're doing it. We have 90% success rate, and we back up our results.
So here is the answer. It is complex. John, I'm not a dentist, but I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Well, wait, I want to interrupt because if I only have a minute, I don't want to hear ChatGPT. I want to help your audience. Is that okay?
Okay. I'll just give you the quick points, what it says. Over-the-counter pain reliever, cold compress, salt water rinse, clove oil, and avoid trigger foods, elevate your head, and hydrogen peroxide rinse.
Okay, so that's to manage the pain. If you want it gone, you go to the dentist, they clean it out, they put in porcelain, they repair it, and you brush and floss. It's very simple. I needed a root canal. I went to gone. Simple. Our program is simple and we get results. And it's because we engineered this bad boy. And again, don't take my word for it. You can do the program at no risk and collect the data for yourself. But I want to explain to you, if you understand, it feels complex. It feels complex because they sent you to the wrong location. If they sent you to the wrong location, you're never going to solve it. It's going to feel complex. But what if they just sent you to the wrong location? What if it's not in your mind, it's in your body? And what if it's not a brain disorder? What if it's just a system that's failed because you didn't take care of it? But the beauty of that is you can repair systems. If you have a heart attack, you go to a cardiologist, they repair the heart, and you can be healthy moving forward. If you've hurt your knee, they repair it moving forward. Essentially, you have a hurt nervous system, and we figured out how to repair it and get you back on your toes. Now, I know you're still skeptical, but I hope you can understand that it makes this simple and solvable and mechanical. It's not psychological, mechanical. If you want to know more how this can help you, you want to say, Daniel, that sounds good, but I want to feel this for myself. I want to know this for myself. We have a whole suite of free resources that will show you more. We have the list of the 29 ways that you need to take care of your nervous system. And if you don't, you'll probably end up with some form of anxiety. You can then take a quiz. It's a scientific little quiz that'll show you how well you're taking care of your nervous system. You have to be at about 6.5 out of 10 or higher, but you'll take a quiz and you can see if you fall below that number. If you fall below that number, it means your system isn't being taken care of and it may be in a state of failure. And then we have a bunch of classes and exercises where you can apply one of our techniques and you can you're going to measure it. You will feel your nervous system strengthening and your anxiety lowering so that you can feel that this really will work for you. Again, it's all simple and it's measurable and it's scientific. And also, I'm here. I've been happy and calm for 10 effing years. And I'm telling you, from a scientist to your scientists out there, it feels complicated, but it's actually simple. And if you want something simple that actually gets you results so you can be happier and more joyful and more focused and show up for the people you care about, please be open to the possibility that this is really simple. Can I give one more historical metaphor?
Yeah, we need to wrap, though.
All right.
So let's let people know where they can reach you. Daniel, I want to thank you. This has been great having you on, and hopefully educating you guys about the fact that this is a Band-Aid that most people are doing. Just like you can remineralize your teeth, you can actually remineralize or fix your nervous system. So how can people reach out to you, Daniel, if they would like to learn more information from you?
Well, John C. Morley, you know I like it simple. My name is Daniel Packard. You just go to danielpackard.com and all the resources, information on our program, those free resources. If you want to book a consultation with me, you go there. Please don't just stop at information. Take action. This is so simple. I wish I could prove it to you, but I can't. But you have
You
a
can go to
brave,
that link right there,
smart audience.
www.danielpackard.com. That is very simple, ladies and gentlemen. So it has been a blast being with you, Daniel. We had a little bit of challenges at the beginning, but I'm glad you did make it. And what part of the world are you from, Daniel?
I live in a new country every year, but I'm in the UK right now, down by the water. I'm
So whenever
in
we have
Cornwall, as they say.
whenever we have guests from overseas, it's always challenging, and they always do show up either sometime in the show or in the end. But we always have challenges, and we have guests from all around the world. I know our first guest came from China a very long time, my tech show, and that's how we got started into this other show and stuff. But long story short, this person didn't get to the right time zone, so I try to make it easy, but there's always some glitches. So I do want to thank you, Daniel, for joining us. Do hang out with us. We'll be right back to you in just a second, but I want to thank you for educating all of us and helping people know that they do have a choice. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, and I want to thank you guys so much for coming today. And definitely visit danielpackard.com to get more information on him. But before we do go, I want to encourage you to please, ladies and gentlemen, go out to you know where. I'd love you to go out to believemeachieve.com. I am a podcast host, podcast coach, and a specialist, and I help businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and being more scalable and profitable. Very simple. Now, I typically work with companies that bring in 10 million or more, and I'm very good at helping people find their story, telling their story, and doing it from truth. That's what I'm about. So until the next episode of Inspirations for Your Life, where we'll be talking about a brand new master topic, we have another great guest coming up next week. So you're not going to want to miss that. And I'm not going to tell you what the show's going to be about. You're going to have to come tomorrow. Remember, our audio cast, which if you are watching the video, launches within 24 hours. Tell your friends, family, colleagues to check out Inspirations for Your Life. But if you can't remember all this stuff, just go to believemeachieve.com or just take your phone and scan that QR code. And all this great information will be right at your fingertips. I hope you guys have an awesome day. And I hope you remember that you have the tools to make your life the dream that you've always believed. I'll see you guys in another show real soon.